You are watching the Fox Connecticut Morning News at 7 a.m. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm Tim Lammers.
And I'm Amanda Rouse. We will get to more of your top stories in just a minute. But first, we want to check on an amazing forecast for today.
Yeah, let's start with the good news. Dan Amarenti's on the Weather Watch for you this morning. Good morning, sir. Good.
Thanks, Rachel. An anti-violence event in Hartford ends just as more violence erupts. You can see in this map that the shooting happened less than a quarter mile away from one of the national night out celebrations in the capital city. Fox Connecticut's Crystal Hall joins us live outside Hartford PD with more on the investigation. Crystal.
Hi, good morning, Amanda. Hartford police investigating this shooting this morning, trying to figure out what kind of person would not only shoot another individual, but do so blocks away from an anti-violence celebration filled with families. Now, this is what police are telling us about the shooting. They say it happened just after 10 o'clock last night in the city's north end on the corner of Albany Avenue and Baltimore Street. Now, when police arrived on scene, they weren't able to locate the victim, but a short time later, that's when officers learned the victim had been taken to St. Francis Hospital by a private vehicle. Now, police say 27-year-old Jermaine McLean of Hartford was shot several times with wounds to his legs and abdomen, and he was last listed in critical but stable condition. Now, literally blocks away from that shooting you saw there in that map earlier was one of 6 national night out celebrations in Hartford. You can see in the video lots of families out enjoying the evening with police. Now, this event is a movement to increase community and police relations in order to reduce crime. Now, as far as this investigation goes, we do know that major crimes detectives are working this morning to find a suspect because as of now, they do not have anyone in custody. We are reporting live this morning outside HPD headquarters. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Crystal. Happening today, we're expecting to learn more details of the deaths of a man and a woman. Their bodies were found inside an East Haven apartment. Now, that couple was found, both of them with gunshot wounds, late Monday night on Foxen Boulevard. The man who was found there at the scene has not been identified, but Fox Connecticut was told that the woman is his longtime girlfriend, Ingrid Del Rio. And Ingrid's sister told us she thinks she knows why this happened.
She was planning to move to Florida.
With him?
No, by herself. I guess she was tired of him already.
Well, Ingrid Del Rio leaves behind 3 young children. Those children were not at home at the time of the shooting.
The daycare worker who was caught on camera abusing a child in Manchester will find out if she will spend any time in jail. Devin Vanover will be formally sentenced today. She pleaded guilty to a charge of risk of injury to a minor in connection to an incident that happened a year ago. The video you can see there, she was caught on camera screaming into a little girl's ear and then putting her hand on the child's head to flip her around and force her into a corner. Police say that she also injured a 1-year-old by aggressively rocking and forcing a pacifier into the baby's mouth.
Well, today in Connecticut, rapper 50 Cent is due back in bankruptcy court.
It comes a few days after he laid out his debts and his assets in court. Now, on Monday, the rapper, whose real name is Curtis Jackson, revealed to a courtroom that he is $32 million in debt thanks to outstanding bills, credit card payments, and child support. He claims that he makes $185,000 a month and spends $108,000 of it, which includes $17,000 a month for the mortgage on his Farmington mansion.
At some point, sort of you step back and you say, okay, now's the time, start over, figure out what we're going to do, pay off what we need to pay off, and get the life back into order.
50 Cent filed for bankruptcy after a jury ordered him to pay $7 million to a woman who claimed that he had posted a sex tape she made with a boyfriend online without her permission. There's no word yet on what he's expected to present to the judge today. Erica.
7:07 now, and we can now tell you who made the cut for the first primetime Republican presidential debate. It airs tomorrow night, and here is who you will see on that national stage. The list includes Donald Trump, Jeb Bush, Scott Walker, Mike Huckabee, Ben Carson, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, Chris Christie, and John Kasich. The network said it picked the 10 primetime candidates based on certain recent national polls. The 7 remaining candidates will appear in a separate debate earlier on Thursday on Fox News. Those 7, though, could face a lag in their campaign and donations because of the lack of the national exposure.
You need in this debate to create a moment, not necessarily a zinger, Megan, but something that attracts attention, because all of these other candidates who have been pushed down to 4, 5, 6% are really having trouble breaking through in the summer of Trump.
Now, the spokesperson for the former Senator Rick Santorum, who was not included in the primetime lineup, accused Fox of having a flawed selection process. But former Texas Governor Rick Perry tweeted that he's looking forward to taking part in the earlier debate. And Thursday's debate takes place in Cleveland, Ohio. You can catch it at 9 p.m. on Fox News Channel.
Coming up on the Fox Connecticut Morning News here at 7 o'clock, a California cop draws his gun and now he's under investigation. I'll tell you why.
And someone is mocking Caitlyn Jenner with a billboard. Why an attempt to be funny isn't getting any laughs. Maggie.
Guys, joining on our Fox Connecticut Facebook page this morning, things got heated on the set of The View when Kelly Osbourne made some controversial remarks. We've got the details on what she said about Latinos. That's getting a lot of people speaking out this morning. Plus, some incredible video after a massive sinkhole opens up in New York City and devours part of an intersection there. And sadly, guys, here's the heartbreaker of the day. Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy are calling it quits. The Muppet pair is splitting after several decades together. We've got all the details on that, plus much more, once again on our Facebook page. Check it out at facebook.com/FoxCT, and we'll be right back.
New for you this morning, a California police officer is under investigation after drawing his gun on a man who was not accused of committing a crime.
Yeah, the man was recording a Rohnert Park police officer who had pulled up to his driveway last week. The officer then ordered the man to take his hand out of his pocket, and that's when this happened.
No, sir, I haven't done nothing. I've done absolutely nothing, no.
Hey, seriously.
Put your gun down, really?
Edward 10. Start me another one.
This one's really got a gun on me. No. You don't touch me. You don't touch me.
Well, Don McComas says he complied and repeatedly asked the officer why he was at his home. The officer eventually left and told McComas to put the video on YouTube. Rohnert Park officials are now trying to determine if the officer violated any police protocols. Well, a few miles just south of that encounter, another police officer was caught in action, saving a man's life.
It happened in Sunnyvale as a train approached an intersection. Take a look. And keep an eye on the train crossing where that white car just turned. Their deputies saw a car on the tracks and then heard a train approaching. Oh, you see the car right there? Oh, well, one officer ran over to the car and pulled out its driver. Moments later, as you just saw in the vehicle, the train slammed, the tram slammed into that vehicle. The driver and the deputy were not hurt. However, that 20-year-old driver was later arrested on suspicion of DUI, hit and run, and driving without a license.
Moving on, a Toledo, Ohio radio show host has come under a bit of fire for a billboard that was put up that spoofs Caitlyn Jenner. You see, it shows Denny Schaefer mimicking Jenner's Vanity Fair magazine cover, and it also encourages people to transition to Schaefer's radio station and to not call him Caitlyn. Well, LGBT and other activists say the billboard is hurtful. But in a statement, Schaefer said the billboard's just simply spoofing that Vanity Fair magazine cover, and he also called Jenner a hero. Also in the Midwest, a Taco Bell has been shut down after something illegal may have been cooking in the kitchen.
Investigators checked out the fast food site in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and then they found the remnants of a meth lab. Investigators were tipped off after someone spotted a suspicious person on the property. Police say they found one employee, another man, and evidence of a drug lab. Now, both men were arrested on multiple drug charges. Customers who visited the closed Taco Bell were shocked to learn of the findings.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh. Well, that's interesting.
This morning.
In Taco Bell?
Inside Taco Bell.
Wow. Okay.
Kind of gross and kind of scary knowing that all the people that come in here and eat food, especially with kids, you never know what was in it.
Well, Taco Bell says that the suspicious items were found in the basement and did not come in contact with any food.
All right, well, I like Taco Bell enough, I'd still eat there.
All right.
I'm not going to let you do it. Rachel Lutzker, also a Taco Bell fan. Would you?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that one.
Okay, yes. It's a tough one.
But now I actually want Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Great. See what you started.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dan. Coming up on the Fox Connecticut Morning News, the president is working to pull in more support for the Iran nuclear deal, but the Israeli prime minister is standing firm in his opposition. We'll tell you what he had to say. And after calls for testing, one group is taking a look at the water in Rio de Janeiro. We'll tell you who's set to conduct those tests ahead of the Olympic Games down there.
President Obama is ramping up his campaign to sell the Iran nuclear deal. Today, he is set to deliver a foreign policy speech outlining his support for the plan. Secretary of State John Kerry has already met with leaders of Gulf nations to get their support, saying that the plan will keep Iran from getting a bomb and prevent an arms race. And the president met with American Jewish leaders to smooth over their fears that Iran will try to destroy Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been a fierce critic of the deal.
I oppose this deal because I want to prevent war, and this deal will bring war. It will spark a nuclear arms race in the region, and it would feed Iran's terrorism and aggression. That would make war perhaps the most horrific war of all.
Well, leading concern is the schedule of inspections, especially at undeclared sites in Iran. Netanyahu says if Iran is given a 3-week notice period ahead of an inspection, that will give Iranians enough time to dispose of any evidence of nuclear activity. In Brazil, the nation is racing to clean up a polluted body of water ahead of the Olympic Games. Host city Rio de Janeiro is trying to overcome several challenges, and one of those issues is the water quality of a bay where the sailing events are expected to take place. The World Rowing Federation agreed yesterday to test the water for viruses after a report compared it to raw sewage.
We've been following the WHO guidelines, which indicate the 2 bacteriological parameters. And for the moment, it's going very well.
I am comfortable. I think in every situation we have to be cautious, really make sure we don't, consume anything or touch anything, and definitely wash our hands.
Well, officials say that it could take up to a decade to clean the badly polluted water. Today marks 5 years since a disaster in Chile actually turned into a miracle. On August 5th, 2010, a mine collapse in Chile trapped 33 miners more than 2,000 feet underground. Well, their ordeal caught worldwide attention. Amazingly, they were pulled out of that mine shaft 69 days later. And on that day, more than 1 billion people watched the rescue on TV. Just to put that in perspective, that's 10 times bigger than the Super Bowl TV audience. Still ahead on the Fox Connecticut Morning News, violence follows an anti-violence event in Hartford. Crystal Hall has details on the shooting that happened in Hartford's North End. And rapper 50 Cent's bankruptcy case isn't over just yet. Hear what he's said to do in Hartford today.
A big advancement in medication could signal a whole new era of custom medicines. The Food and Drug Administration has approved the production of the very first 3D printed pill. It's a prescription drug called Spreetamp, and it treats seizures in certain children and adults who have epilepsy. But experts say this could pave the way for custom-ordered drugs based on specific patient needs rather than just taking the standard one-product-fits-all approach. By making slight adjustments to the software before printing, the 3D printed pill could allow makers to adjust the dose for individual patients. And without it, such personalized medicine would be extremely costly. The 3D drug is expected to be available early next year. Contaminated batches of the herb cilantro may be to blame for hundreds of illnesses. As of this week, 384 intestinal infections have been reported in 26 different states, and all of those cases may be linked back to cilantro that came from one Mexican state. Now, the infection is caused by consuming food or drink that contains a certain parasite, and the bulk of the illnesses have been reported in Wisconsin and Texas. Still no word, though, if any of those cases appeared here in New England. Hundreds of the newest cases also occurred after May 1st. Some of the people who got sick ate at restaurants that use cilantro from the state of Puebla in Mexico. According to the FDA, outbreaks of a gastrointestinal illness linked to cilantro from Puebla have occurred every year now, going back to 2012. So the agency banned cilantro shipments from that state last week. Well, eating spicy foods may help you lead a longer life. You see, researchers said that eating spicy food throughout the week seems to lower the risk for mortality, especially as it relates to cancer and heart disease. When people ate spicy food 4 to 7 days a week, they saw their risk of mortality drop as much as 14%. Again, we don't know if the spicy food has something to do with it, but it's an interesting correlation. Researchers do say fresh chili peppers were specifically linked to a lower risk of dying from cancer, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. Those spices do help to improve cholesterol, control inflammation, and reduce stress. So there could be some mechanism here behind it. Rachel Lutzker, I guess when we're going to Taco Bell, it's time to have some fire sauce.
I'm glad that forecast that said rain changed for the
Yeah.
weekend.
Remember how I was talking yesterday about how they were flip-flopping, and then today I come in, was so relieved to see everything staying south, and it's smooth sailing for a while.
Awesome.
Good. Dan, thank you so much. Well, coming up, you're going to have to see this to believe it. Marty McFly eats your heart out. A car company has released video of a new way to get around. Maggie Sliz is here to tell us about a hoverboard and how it works. Not quite as amazing as you're thinking. I hate to be Debbie Downer here.